Welcome to We Question and Learn. This is Tom Pies. We're celebrating our 22nd year. Actually, we're celebrating a completion of 22 years on the air here at WQLN FM 91.3. I have two special guests today, and I'm really thrilled to be able to talk with both of them. A person who works 24 hours a day, Linda Moore, who's the executive director of the Site Center. Linda, let's do the disclosure. You were kind enough to have me on the board for how many years now?
Tom, I don't know. It seems like it's been forever,
Yeah.
maybe 10 years.
Maybe 10.
Yeah.
Each meeting is always an education. This is a more critical issue, as you know, Linda, than most people understand. So we'll clarify a lot of that today. But also sitting right down the hall, I believe, or maybe in the same office, is Shannon Wolford. And Shannon, you're new to the Site Center as the marketing director of marketing and the annual fund. Welcome to the organization.
Well, I'm new and yet I'm old, right? Because I was here previously. I had the pleasure of being part of this team about 6 years ago.
That's right.
And then had an opportunity to return. So I could not be happier to be back on the staff here at the Site Center.
Well, Linda, as you know, and we've sat through a lot of different meetings at different organizations, nonprofit partnership and the like, that every organization has a mission and a vision. So let's start at the top of the page and identify for folks who may not know much about the Site Center because of the reach and breadth of this program. How does this all work?
I'm going to hand that over to Shannon to get us kicked off.
All right, good.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to be here and really appreciate the opportunity to share our work with our community. The Site Center's mission is to prevent blindness and promote independence for those with vision loss or those who are blind. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of kind of the day-to-day operations of our agency, I really want to start by asking you a question to get you thinking. Did you know that nearly 1 in 10 adults over the age of 65 here in Erie County is living with some form of vision loss? I just think that that's a pretty remarkable statistic. And when you think about that, 1 in 10 adults over 65 has some form of vision loss. I mean, that really means there are thousands of our neighbors, people that you know, you work with, you are friends with, who are navigating this world a little differently than we are. And many times they're doing it silently. And I guess I would like to say here at the Site Center, we want to be here for those individuals so that they do not have to navigate that world alone. You know, the Site Center, we've been around since 1938. I mean, we're on 87 years of doing this type of work. And we have really become kind of that trusted organization in the community. And we've dedicated our hearts and the work that we do to help empower people who are blind or visually impaired to really live their best lives. We want them to live as independently as they can and with a great sense of confidence. So when you think about all that we do, our work really spans kind of all ages and stages of vision loss, from young children who need a preventative vision screening to older adults who are adjusting to life with diminished sight. So I'm going to pass it back to Linda, who's going to kind of walk us through all of the programs and services here at the Site Center.
See, I knew she would bring the sparkle to it. I wanted to start off with her. But Tom, you know, as our board member, that prevention is where we begin our work. And that is half of our mission. And I think it might be the lesser known half of our mission. So we want to make sure that people know that the Site Center offers prevention of blindness that includes education and vision screenings for preschoolers aged 3 to 6. And here's another thought that people don't know. We cover 7 counties with that program. And when I say we cover it, it means that we have a contract with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to provide these services. It is our mandate in addition to our mission. So right now we do preschool vision screenings for children ages 3 to 6 in Erie, Warren, McCain, Jefferson, Cameron, Elk, and Potter counties. It's a very large footprint. and it takes us many, many, many miles and many months to screen all the 3 to 6-year-olds in those counties. I think it's a wildly successful program, and part of it is because we really work hard to make it fun for our children. You know, as adults, we would think, well, what's so scary about a vision screening? But when you're a little 3-year-old or 4 or 5-year-old, it can be a little overwhelming. But we feature 2 programs called Reckless the Dog and Truffles the Kitty, which are age-appropriate materials featuring stories, games, trading cards that focus on eye health and safety. And these are materials that children can bring home to their families and pass what they've learned on to their families, which is really good. These are really popular programs in our region's preschools. And while we're playing with Truffles the Kitty, we get pictures of our little children's eyes, and we get a good idea of what's going on inside the eyeball. We refer about 6.5% to 8% of the children we screen. That is several hundred children every single year get referred for professional follow-up with our region's optometrists and ophthalmologists. Usually what we find in a child is they need a little pair of eyeglasses and an eye exam. Once in a while, we find somebody with what we call amblyopia or strabismus, which you might know as lazy eye or crossed eyes. And about once every 5, 7, 8 years, we find something really awful, like cancerous tumor in the eye or other things like that. And unfortunately, parents do not know how well their kids are seeing. It's never obvious, rarely obvious. And little children especially don't know how they're supposed to see. So, we find these kids, and parents are frequently upset about it. Oh my God, I didn't notice. No, it's nobody's fault. We do this because we are professionals at it. We know what we're looking for, and we have the right equipment to do it. So it's a big program, and it's one of our foundational programs and something I'm really, really proud of. In addition to preschool vision screening, we also know that most adult vision loss is preventable. According to the CDC, over 90% of vision loss caused by diabetes and other chronic conditions is preventable with early detection and proper care. So in 2017, we took on a new program, and it is prevention of diabetes. It's so funny, Tom, because you were with us at this time. There were a lot of people scratching their heads and wondering, what is Linda doing? Is she drifting from the mission? No. We've had to spend a lot of time educating the community that diabetes is the leading cause of vision loss, permanent and severe vision loss in adults of working age in the United States. So when we're preventing diabetes, we believe and we know that we're actively helping people who are at risk preserve their future vision. It's a wildly successful program. We've put more than 1,200 people through it. And again, I can say out loud, I'm really, really proud of that program. Next down the line is our vision rehabilitation services, and they're really at the core of our mission. These are the services that impact our clients' daily lives. A lot of people don't know, what is vision rehabilitation? Is it medicine? Is it surgery? Is it stronger glasses? Well, no. We trust our region's ophthalmology and optometry providers to do all of that. Vision rehabilitation includes examinations with a trained optometrist who specializes in low vision, and they're looking for functional vision. Tom, did you know that most people who are blind or have severe vision loss actually have usable vision? Most people have some usable vision. We just have to find it. So we have this special optometrist follow up with an occupational therapist, and they help individuals learn new skills and strategies to support safe, independent living with their vision loss. We also offer a bi-monthly peer support group. We are so creative. We call it the Wednesday Club because they meet on Wednesday. I know. That's been around for so long. I can't even take credit for it, but I love it. We also provide transportation services and other specialized supports like mail reading and bill paying that are vital to supporting individuals with vision loss and keeping them active in their community and maintaining their independence. That's kind of the goal of all of this. a lot of people losing their vision, in fact, most people losing their vision, want to stay home. I mean, think about it. Where would you rather lose your vision? At home where you know every nook and cranny, or in some shiny new assisted living apartment that you've never seen? Our goal is to help people be active in their community, maintain their independence, and continue to live at home. We also work with the Erie Lions Club. They've been our partners since our inception in 1938. And through the Erie Lions Club, we support individuals who need help obtaining eye exams and corrective eyewear. This is people who've they're uninsured, they're underinsured, they've used up their insurance benefits and have a sudden change in their vision. And those are the people that we're looking for. And we help them get eye exams and eyeglasses or whatever it is they need. And then to kind of sum all of that up, I would say whether you're newly diagnosed with vision loss, if you've been living with it for years, if you're blind, we are here to walk alongside them. Our goal isn't just to help people see better, it's to help them live better, with dignity, with purpose, and a strong sense of connection.
Linda, you're located on West 26th Street here in Erie. How big a facility do you have?
It's pretty big, Tom. It's 11,000 square feet, and we use it all, but we're also out in the community much of the time. Not all of the work happens here. We go to the people where the people need our services.
Talk about all the counties you cover. It's amazing how far afield you all travel.
Well, we do and we don't. We actually, a number of years ago, when Tycho and I were working together, Tycho Swick was the executive director here for 46 years. When he retired, I took his job, but I had the great privilege of working with him for 10 years before that. And as we started to add counties to our footprint, we recognized it was very expensive for us to be serving those counties from Erie. And so we started placing staff members out in the rural counties where we serve. And so we have caseworkers and what we call driver aides in those 7 counties, kind of 1 for every 3 counties or 2 for every 3 counties, who do driving, life skills education, case management, and preschool vision screening in the counties. It's interesting. The average trip for one of our transportation providers here in Erie County is about 15 miles. And the average trip out in the rural counties is 150 miles. So you can tell it's wildly different when you're serving a blind person in Potter County than it is when you're serving someone here in Erie. But having individuals out in those counties has really increased our effectiveness, our efficiency, access, our accessibility to the people in those counties is really spot on. And they develop great relationships with those providers out in the counties.
Our drivers, they deserve the biggest shout out. Our transportation program is fabulous. And I don't think people realize how necessary that is. I mean, it's an obvious fact, someone who is legally blind can no longer drive. But not everyone has a family member, a friend, or someone that they can turn to get them to their doctor's appointments or to take them to the grocery store. And, those types of essential services help us stay active in our community. And so our drivers become actually a really good friend to these folks. And it's just amazing to watch how these relationships develop and how people how it makes them feel to have someone they can rely on to get them to the appointment, to help them. We refer to the program as door-through-door transportation, because instead of like an Uber who might pull up and wait for you, our driver will get out of the car and help you to the vehicle and get you in and take you where you need to go and make sure you're on time and you have the paperwork that you need to have with you. So it really is kind of a step beyond just the driving service. It really is kind of all inclusive.
Our drivers, I'm telling you, they're like angels to these people. And so picture taking your mom, your grandma, your grandfather to a doctor's appointment, and they walk out with a handful of prescriptions. So we pick them up. We go then next to the pharmacy, take the person in, fill the prescriptions, wait while they wait. Maybe they need to stop at the grocery store on the way home. Well, we go to the grocery store, go in, we shop with the people, and then take them home. Help them carry their packages into the house. Tom, I think another thing that I would love to share about people who are blind and visually impaired, food insecurity is a real problem in this population. They frequently are not able to feed themselves properly, whether it's because of the higher cost of food today, or they don't necessarily see what they have, or just access to food is a real problem, and we take it very seriously. We have a good relationship with the food bank and all of the local food banks where we will help people make sure that they are being appropriately nourished. The drivers, when they go into the person's home, will check the cupboards and check the refrigerator and make sure that we're not eating expired food, or that the refrigerator is properly stocked to provide the right nutrition for somebody. They're way, way more than drivers. And I can't say enough about our team.
I also want to add, because you talked about food insecurity, but it's also kind of relearning how to prepare food at home if you're visually impaired. And I think that's what's so wonderful, that, our clients have access to the occupational therapist and our case manager and even the Wednesday club, where they're able to learn kind of those new strategies. They're able to try out new devices that they can use in the kitchen to help keep them safe while they are cooking. So, so many things that we just kind of take for granted, and we don't think about, the woman that wants to warm up her tea in the morning and use the microwave. Well, she can't see the numbers anymore. So we have something that's called bump dots that they can put on, that she can then feel and know what temperature and time she needs to use in order to warm up her morning tea. So it's just all the things that we just kind of take for granted as we move throughout our day. We address those.
Everyone here knows that one of my favorite days at the Site Center is George Foreman Grill Cooking Day. And we we set up the George Foreman grills and do a class in how to safely use them as opposed to the stove or the oven, to prepare a hamburger, to prepare a pork chop or a chicken breast. And the place smells heavenly. And I sneak down at lunch and, we'll sample everyone's George Foreman products. And it's really a fun day at the Site Center.
When we hear real life examples, it really helps to understand and illustrate the work that we're doing here at the Site Center. So we had a gentleman that came to us who was in his late 60s. He had just been diagnosed with a progressive eye condition, and naturally he was feeling quite frustrated. He was starting to feel somewhat isolated. He was losing his confidence and his ability to live independently. So we welcomed him in, and our first step was to get him scheduled for a low vision appointment with our optometrist, where he was evaluated to determine how much usable or functional vision he had remaining. Linda spoke to that earlier. So we know that even when people are losing their vision, we still can determine what level of vision they have. There's something still there. We just have to find it, and then we have to learn how to use it. So that was really the next thing that we did. We were able to bring in our team to introduce some tools, some devices, different techniques to help him learn and really start to be comfortable using what little vision he had. So introducing things like magnification devices, some contrast enhancements, different lighting strategies to help him be successful with just the daily tasks. But we didn't just stop there. Our case manager, Mason, is wonderful. And he sits down with the client. He'll come to your home and really train you and teach you how to use any of your assistive technology, things like a screen reader or a talking watch or a talking clock, things that you'll use in your home to stay connected, to remain living at home independently and safely, because we really want we want them to have that confidence, right? I mean, we want people to understand they can continue doing those things that they love if it's a hobby of theirs. And we also want to connect them with other people who are experiencing a similar situation. That's why we tie them into the Wednesday Club, that peer support group. That club meets bi-monthly. Linda mentioned the George Foreman Grilling Day. I mean, they are always doing some crazy, wonderful, exciting programming, whether it's going on a community outing or bringing a speaker in. We have an amazing relationship with Gannon University's occupational therapy department, and those students come over and take part in the Wednesday Club. What they bring to it is really this element of well-being. So teaching them simple exercises and different, physical fitness opportunities that they can do. Maybe it's seated exercises or things they can do while standing, to work on kind of their core and strengthening and maintaining their ability to just be mobile. They also talk to them about kind of managing their stress, whether that is through deep breathing techniques or meditation. So it's a really wonderful partnership that we have with the Gannon OT department, and really excited about that. Because we know that social connections are huge. People that have a vision impairment often are more isolated than the average individual. And so we know that bringing them together and making sure that they're out in the community and creating connections is really part of that overall well-being. So back to this client, we really, again, wanted to make sure he wasn't feeling alone. And when he was concerned about, well, how am I going to get to my doctor's appointment next week? We were able to get him enrolled in the transportation program. So now he just simply gives us a call, lets us know when he's got appointments coming up, and we can get him on the schedule. And, we're able to help him kind of maintain that normal life that he had prior to his vision loss. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how we bring someone in and kind of move them through the services so that they are continuing to really live the type of life that they want to live and have a good quality of life.
How do
It's pretty
people?
inspiring,
Oh,
Tom.
isn't
I
it?
have to
Yeah,
say it.
yeah.
Even just listening to Shannon, I've been doing this for 26 years, but even just listening to Shannon describing it, it kind of gives me the chills. It's inspiring. It's what brings us to work every day. And these are the kinds of things we're so eager for the community to know about us. We kind of joke around that we want everyone to know us before they need us. So if vision loss were to strike in someone's family, they would immediately think, top of mind, oh, we need to call the Sight Center.
That's right. That's excellent. And there are a lot of interesting vision facts, and some really specific to Erie County. First and foremost, Erie County, we have an aging population. Over 18% of the residents here are age 65 or older, which puts a large part of our community at a greater risk for age-related eye diseases like macular degeneration, glaucoma, and cataracts. Um, and so we know, blindness doesn't discriminate. Vision loss affects every age group. And that's why it's so important for us as an organization to have that focus on prevention of blindness, to really start with the preschool level and teach them eye safety and education and do those preschool vision screenings, because we know it starts there and we go all the way through our seniors. And while age increases the risk, we still know that there are accidents and illnesses and genetics that can, impact vision at any point in life. And so, going back to Linda's know us before you need us, we really want to emphasize that, because it's with education. And we always encourage people, if you are not seeing an eye doctor on a regular basis, having those annual eye examinations is really important.
Now, Shannon, what's your daily to-do list like? You're working on a very important project. Maybe you could go over it.
Sure. Well, right now I kind of have a twofold mission with my work. Linda mentioned our long-standing relationship with Erie Lions Club, and I just want to say that we are so grateful for that partnership because not only do they support our eyeglass program, but they also help to fund some of the transportation for those longer trips. So often we will have clients that are going to Pittsburgh or to Cleveland or even into Buffalo for a particular eye surgery or follow up. And so they help to support those longer transportation trips that we take with our clients. But the Erie Lions Club, as I'm sure many people are aware, hosts the Save an Eye game every year. And that football game so much more than just an athletic event. This is a game that has a longstanding tradition of raising dollars to support our programs here at the Site Center so that we can continue the work of our mission. So we're incredibly grateful, and that game is coming up on Friday, June the 27th, and we're going to be over at the Harbor Creek Stadium this year. So excited about that. So that's part of my work right now.
Shannon, may I interrupt for 1 minute? I want to make sure that we
Absolutely.
include the fact that the Erie Lions Club Save an Eye football game funds half the budget for our preschool vision screening program as well in Erie County. All of the money from that program remains in Erie County, serving children in particular. In addition to the other things they do for us, they give us a lovely pot of money that helps make sure our vision screening program stays alive.
And then the kind of twofold piece of my work right now is potential grant opportunities. So I'm doing a lot of research and a lot of grant writing. You know, you may pull up to our building and say, oh my gosh, look at this beautiful building and all this cool stuff we have in our building. What in the world would these people need money for? Right? But guess what? We are a nonprofit and we do need money to support the work that we do. Linda can speak a little bit about our contract and how that works. So why don't you let people know how we are funded and where we
Sure.
might need the support?
Well, you know, I have a funny story about my predecessor, Tycho Swick, and he has always told this story. When we received our contract with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it was 1974. And that contract was life-changing for this organization. And Tycho talks about how he and his board president went out and had some drinks and cheered and toasted over it because it was so much money. They didn't know how they were ever going to spend it all. And to this day, now since 1974, you have to listen carefully to this, that contract has remained the same dollar amount. Now, last year right before fiscal 2025, the state of Pennsylvania issued an additional sum of money to the Pennsylvania Association for the Blind member agencies. That's what we are, for the first time since 1974. Now, we don't know if we're going to get that additional sum this year, but we're sure hoping so. But clearly, the money that we were given in 1974 does not go anywhere near as far in 2025. So we now fundraise just about half of our budget. Many, many decades ago, we had board members with great foresight who put money away for a rainy day. And when estates and bequest gifts came in, they were invested very prudently. So we do have investment income that helps fund our programs and services in addition to our contracts with the Commonwealth. But even that, we still have to fundraise about half of our budget. I will say that this community is very generous to the Site Center, and we have some really wonderful, long-term, regular friends who help us meet those goals every single year. But every single year it gets a little harder and we need more friends. So we're all about making friends these days.
Yeah.
Well, and Erie has a wonderful opportunity for everyone to be a philanthropist, and that is on
Yes.
Erie Gives Day coming up on August the 12th. That's a great opportunity to give any dollar amount above $25 to the site center, and knowing that that money will stay right here to help clients here in Erie. So we're excited about that as well.
With all this that you are doing and all your partnerships, are there things that you see that are going to have to be different for the organization, say in the next 5 years, for example? Or is it business as usual? It's a struggle to fundraise, for example. Not that you're not doing a good job. What I'm saying is that the world is changing quickly. Are people typically aware that this is a problem? I mean, you go to the supermarket, you don't see much. No offense, I walk around all the time. Maybe the
Right.
mall. This problem is, forgive me for saying it, much larger than what people are aware of. Do you feel that way too?
I totally agree with that, Tom. I think one of the things that we see is a reduced health literacy among our community. I think we definitely see that older people are really savvy about their health and seem to have a lot of education and information about maintaining and achieving good health. But I see personally a lot of gaps in the younger generation and understanding what it takes to keep your body going and keep your body healthy. So I think health literacy is something we see changing, and we see it as part of our mission to provide some of that education, or a lot of that education, about healthy eyes, maintaining the health of your eyes, maintaining your good vision. One of the things that I do is go around town and talk about nutrition and vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people are really surprised to learn that making small changes in your nutritional patterns can really impact the health of your eyes and keep that vision going longer and better. So I that's one of my personal missions that I really, really enjoy. And it seems to be more needed today than ever. I think diabetes is such an under talked about thing going on. You know, Tom, think about 2020, the pandemic hit, the world came to a screeching halt. We were all aware and engaged with this pandemic. And what I don't think people know is that we've been living in an epidemic for 30 years or more. And that's the epidemic of diabetes.
Yes.
And the
yes.
horrible, horrible impact that disease has on individual lives, on families, and on our nation at large. It is clogging our health system with preventable disease.
Right, and that is one chronic disease that is reversible.
Right.
But it starts with the prevention piece, and that's why we were so excited to partner with the CDC and offer the National Diabetes Prevention Program, because we know that it is a evidence-based program. It is successful if you work at the program. It is a 12-month curriculum. So this isn't just a one and done quick little over, one day and you're going to turn your life around. This is 12 months of information and training that you get from a lifestyle coach in our program. So we have been very successful at graduating over 1,000 people that have lost the weight, who have been able to take, not take, what am I trying to say? They have been able to take less medicine. They are, able to
improve all of their health.
Yes, they have.
It isn't just about preventing. Right, exactly.
And looking at the last newsletter, you always have written excellent newsletters. This Insights newsletter, this last one is just brimming with outstanding information. I could just sit here and read this over and over again. How do people get this same information if they don't get the brochure?
They just have to call us up and get on our mailing list. I would love to distribute more information in this community because it is so vital. It really is. People need to know that they have some control over their health and over the health of their vision.
And the number?
814-455-0995. You can also look for us online at www.sightcenternwpa.org. We try to, we stick to our mission. We don't try to stick to our mission. We do stick to our mission. And we keep it at the front and center of every single thing that we do. Every decision that I make is mission driven. And our goal with our programming is not necessarily to grow bigger, but to grow deeper and to make sure that we're really hitting on those needs that people have expressed to us that they have. And that brings me to a good point. We listen to the voices of those that we serve. We hold focus groups every couple of years. The statewide agency that we're a part of recently did a statewide survey to see what are the primary needs of people who are blind and visually impaired. And we have responded to that by making sure that we provide what people have stated they need. The biggest one is transportation. And so we put a lot of emphasis on our transportation program to make it really second to none. One of the other, I think the second highest, was digital connection. People need to remain connected to the outside world. And so our access technology program is designed to help people use their cell phones, use their iPads, email their family in California, whatever it is that they need in order to stay connected. Those were two primary needs that were expressed statewide, and Erie and our other counties are no different. So we stick to the mission, we try to deepen our programming, and we listen to the voices of the people we serve.
One last crazy question, which sort of scared me the other day about another organization. As good a job as you are doing, and as careful as families are and friends of folks that are sight impaired come to you for help, there's still a batch of people out there that maybe they haven't found you. How do you manage those numbers? I know you're doing things to help everyone, but how do you manage those numbers? And I see this with other impairments people have. There's a whole group of folks out there that are not getting the deserving help that you can offer. Is it a large number, do you think?
Tom, nothing pains me more than to answer the phone on a Friday afternoon when I'm alone here in the building and have somebody say, you know, my mother lost her vision 5 years ago. We're really struggling. Oh, my goodness. I wish you would have called us 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That always makes me really sad. So, you know, this little tagline, Shannon came up with it years ago when she worked for us, know us before you need us.
Yes, yes.
You know, being on your program is exactly what we need to do to help people know us before they need us, when they need us. It's never too late, but it's also never too early. When you go to the doctor and the doctor says, listen, you've got a progressive eye disease, there isn't much more we're going to be able to do for you. That's when you pick up the phone and call us at the Sight Center.
It's really just still working on creating that awareness so that people know where to call when they need the help.
Yeah.
And, you know, we know that from our clients that we're serving right now, they're wonderful about spreading the word. I mean, I just met a lady at the Wednesday Club last week. She said, I came to the Wednesday Club because the lady sitting right next to her invited her. You know, she was going through a vision struggle herself. And she said, my friend said, hey, come to the Wednesday Club. And that's how she became involved with the Sight Center. So it really is just sharing our mission as broad as we can.
I think you wouldn't mind if people who have an interest, just an interest, not an impairment, but just an interest to possibly come visit the Sight Center, maybe better understand what you're all about?
Tom, we love visitors. You know, I love showing off this beautiful building. My heart and soul resides here. And yes, we love visitors. And we prefer it if you call first, though.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because so much of our staff is out on the road serving people where they are. We're not always all here. So a quick courtesy phone call before someone drops in on us is very, very helpful.
They can also find us on Facebook, Site Center
Yep.
at Northwest Pennsylvania, because on Facebook, you'll really get a good feel for the Wednesday Club and all of the outreach and our preschool vision screens. You'll kind of get to see the work in action. So that would be a great place that I would point people to.
Linda Moore, Executive Director, Shannon Wolford, Director of Marketing and the Annual Fund. You folks are excellent speakers, good representatives of an organization that is critical in our community. I think people already understand that. Thank you both very much. You're excellent presenters.
Thank you, Tom.
Welcome to We Question and Learn. This is Tom Pies. We're celebrating our 22nd year on the air here at WQLN FM 91.3. And a wonderful couple of folks have been gracious enough to come by, so to speak, on the airwaves. And we're so grateful to have Erin Fessler, and you are the VP of Marketing and Community. Gosh, Erin, we were just teasing a bit about Erie Gives Day. It's been 15 years?
This will be the 15th year for Erie Gives, coming up on Tuesday, August 12th.
It's fantastic. And you have a guest with you to help out with the interview, Steve Weiser.
Yes, Steve is our colleague. He's our VP of Philanthropic Services.
Well, I'm lucky to have the both of you on the air here today. This is a very important day, and for folks who are unaware of just the general, let's just say, organization itself, the Erie Community Foundation, just give us a 30-second elevator speech as to what the Erie Community Foundation is.
So here with the Community Foundation in Erie, the neatest thing that we get to do is connect donors with the causes that they believe in the most, as sort of the simplest way to kind of break it down. So whether you're a donor that's creating a fund to benefit your favorite nonprofit, whether you're starting an estate plan to benefit that group, whether you're a nonprofit starting an endowment fund with us, or seeking a grant, we really are that pipeline that connects every member of the community, whether it's a funder or a nonprofit or a cause. We connect all of them together. In total, we represent over about $400 million of combined assets with over 900 different funds. So you can really see how we are sort of the largest foundation in this part of the state, serving countless causes and nonprofits and donors.
It actually is historically one of the larger foundations. I mean, I'm going back 20 years and even just going back 15 years for Erie Gives Day. The Erie Community Foundation, boy, I remember when, how much was in there? $1 million, $2 million, and then suddenly 10, and then 20. And the total amount in the foundation now is, again, what's the number, please?
It's over 400 million. So if you look in the state, we're the third largest community foundation in the state, with Pittsburgh being the largest, then Philadelphia, and then Erie's the third largest in Pennsylvania.
And I happen to know that the folks here are very, very generous. This goes back years and years to the founding of the Erie Community Foundation, Eliza Mack. And that was the Boston store, am I right?
Correct.
Yeah, and that's, boy, how many years has that been since the foundation was established?
90.
Yeah, it's right about 90 years.
Wow.
1935 is when we were founded.
And that tells you how generous everyone is. So coming up, Erin, a very important day, and could you give us the date and the title of this important event?
So Tuesday, August 12th marks the 15th annual Erie Gives, and that's the one day where everyone can be a philanthropist by logging on to eriegives.org. Last year, we opened up the website for 24 hours, and so that increased our donations significantly. Almost about over 800,000 came in during those extra hours. And really, Tom, what we do that for is our donors who work second, third shift, our donors who are on other parts of the country and in different time zones. And the feedback has been very positive on that. So we're going to do that again. But from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., our staff and volunteers will be answering the phones. So Erie Gives is really a day of collective giving. It's a day where you pick out what matters to you, and there will be probably close to 500 nonprofits on the website for you to choose from. So whatever matters to you, this is your chance to make a gift that matters, because when we all give a little, it all adds up to a lot.
To help people out, now the nonprofits belong to a certain organization to be eligible, or is any nonprofit eligible?
So it can kind of go both ways. If you're a member of the nonprofit partnership NPP, if you're a member of NPP, you are able to sign up for Erie Gives Day. Or if you're one of the organizations that already has an agency endowment with the foundation, you're also eligible for Erie Gives Day. So it can kind of go both sides. It's either a member of NPP or agency fund. And what we'll find is a lot of organizations are actually members of both. They'll have an agency fund, but they see the benefit of working with NPP, so they also have a membership with NPP.
Let's talk about how successful this event is. I believe last year, folks from another part of the state or even the country may wonder, how did we manage this, or how did you manage it? Over $9.7 million, is that correct?
Yes. So last year broke all records. We raised over $9.7 million, and that came from over 11,000 donors who gave almost 35,000 in gifts. So we had gifts from all over the country, obviously Pennsylvania, but we had gifts from 45 different states. We had gifts from Canada, Ireland, France, Germany, Sweden, and then in the United States, Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, Virginia, North Carolina, and California were the tops. So what that says is there's a lot of people throughout that who maybe once lived in Erie who have an allegiance to Erie, or they're an alumni of a school that is in Erie. But if you add up all the gifts for the 14 years so far, over $66.3 million has been raised for local nonprofits.
That's an astounding number. And just so folks who are listening, say from out of town, I'm remembering something like 250,000 people metro, maybe a little less or a little more in this area. And that's just within driving distance. You're saying that people have pledged, or rather have donated money from all over the country. That's absolutely amazing. Would that be alumni or people who have moved, or just people who have roots here in Northwest Pennsylvania?
All of the above that you just mentioned, but we also have military service who are in foreign countries who give. We had a serviceman last year, a couple of years ago, and he was serving in Iraq and made a gift on Erie Gives.
That's amazing, yeah. So explain how nonprofits benefit from this great fundraising event. Do people donate just to the fund? Do they donate to their specific nonprofit? Is there a protocol for how all that works?
Sure. So they log on to eriegives.org and decide who they want to give to. And then the Erie Community Foundation hosts this. We are also the catalyst for doing some marketing and advertising, media relations. And there's a lot of smaller nonprofits that do not have access to that kind of advertising. So it's a lot of grassroots efforts through Erie Gives that makes a difference. And that's how everything adds up. And then when someone does make a gift, we have a bonus bucks prorated match pool. And this year, what's new is first we're going to cover all the fees, and then what is remaining will be prorated across all the nonprofits. But there's numerous ways to give, and Steve can give you the rundown on that.
The easiest way is donors can give online. They go to eriegives.org. You can find your nonprofit, click add them to the cart, and go through on Erie Gives Day on August 12th. And then your donation will go directly to that nonprofit through the foundation. You can also call up the phone number on Erie Gives, 454-0843. And you can call between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. and we'll have operators standing by willing to take your donation right over the phone. You can actually mail in a check. There are check forms that are available on the Erie Gives website, and you can actually send a check ahead of time, and that'll get the donation attributed to the nonprofit as well. So there are really a lot of different ways. Online, phone, or via check are sort of the simplest way to do it. And then we even have more complicated ways, which actually are rather simple. If people want to donate stock or IRAs, we do have the mechanism to be able to take those donations as well. The best thing is to contact our team at the foundation and we can help make that happen. But it is very, very easy. All you have to do is work with your advisor, tell them how to make the donation to the community foundation, and then we make sure that gets delivered directly to your nonprofit.
The Erie Community Foundation has made this very simple. Erin, going way back to the first couple of years, it was more than amazing. You'd have dozens of people answering the phone, I believe.
That's right. So the first year we did this was to celebrate our 75th anniversary. And fast forward, now we're at 90 years of an institution that's been a mainstay in our community. And so this is the 15th annual Erie Gives. But we should give a shout out to our community partners because they help us provide the bonus bucks and covering the fees that we're going to be doing this year. And we have some that have been with us since the beginning, such as an Erie Insurance and Wabtec and Presque Isle Downs and Casino and Erie Bank and some law firms like the Knox Law Firm and McDonald Group. So we need all of those community partners to really lift up the whole community.
I'm looking at 2011. With a lot of hard work, you raised just about $780,000. That's a heck of an accomplishment to make this grow every year to last year at $9.7 million. Do you set goals or are you just acting as a thermometer for the community?
We're just a catalyst. We link donors to causes that they care about. And it's when we looked at Erie Gives as part of our strategic planning process, we realized this is a great opportunity to introduce philanthropy, introduce collective giving at the Erie Community Foundation, because we have regional affiliates in Corey, Northeast, Union City, and Finley Lake, who are also a part of Erie Gives. And then we have affinity funds. We have the Erie Women's Fund, LGBT Fund, and the Merging Erie Fund. So those are, the affinity funds are like mini Erie Gives because there's like, for example, there are over 200 women who are part of the Erie Women's Fund. And one woman might give $1,000, one might give $250, whatever is your comfort level. And then at the end of the year, the Erie Women's Fund is making grants to the tune of $100,000. So when you look at Erie Gives, that is really what the affinity funds are doing on a smaller scale. And Erie Gives just kind of blows up that whole theory of having the power of collective giving. When everyone gives $25 here, there, and everywhere, it adds up.
It certainly does.
9.7 million. So
now let's pretend it's August 12th, 2025. What happens? What time do you start? How does this work?
So at midnight, the website opens up and people will start making gifts. But then at 8 a.m., our team comes in. So from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., our team is here answering the phones. But we have like a block party going on. We bring in some entertainment. When the media is covering the event, we'll have food trucks, ice cream trucks. So we're still finalizing all the details of the actual day, the block party that we do to generate excitement. And then really it's up to the nonprofits to tell their story. This is a chance to really share their mission, their purpose. And we throw out challenges to them. They're all welcome to stop by and do Facebook Lives. We do a Facebook Live drawing every hour on the hour through Community Access Media. And so it's just a day of a lot of fun. Our staff is all dressed up and we have music playing and it's really a party. And we welcome anyone to come on down with their gift.
Steve or Erin, could you once more just give an outline of how the Erie Community Foundation as an organization works? You basically are a trust. You are an organization that helps nonprofits help themselves. You're not really in the fundraising business, well, at least not directly. Am I correct?
Correct. So we're sort of the holder of the funds that donors will give to the foundation, and then they sort of give us the direction or the advice sort of based on their intent and what they want to happen. They sort of guide where their funding goes. So people can have a sort of a myriad type of funds with us. If they have a donor advised fund, once a year we connect with the donors and they'll recommend, hey, I would like to give a gift to WQLN and the Erie Philharmonic, and we help facilitate that. Other funds are set up to give to the same organizations every year. Other funds work what we call a field of interest fund, where somebody is really passionate about music, the arts, and public radio. Every year, we make sure that their funding goes to those specific causes. So it really can range from the ultra specific to the vague, but it all comes down to the concept of donor intent and what makes a donor happy, what is the donor passionate about, and then we give them a lot of different mechanisms to help connect with the causes and those nonprofits.
You folks are like the catalyst that helps nonprofits take care of themselves. That's an excellent outreach for the last 90 years. Obviously, it is very successful. Now, let's give the date again for Erie Gives Day.
Sure. It's Tuesday, August 12th. The website is open midnight to midnight. And then you can call our offices between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. at 814-454-0843. Again, that's 454-0843. And it's really your chance to be a part of something bigger than yourself, because you're giving alongside your neighbors and you're impacting things like housing the homeless, feeding the hungry, enhancing our arts and culture communities, supporting animals at the zoo, at the various shelters. I mean, the list is endless. Whatever matters to you this is your chance to support that nonprofit, because then each gift receives a little bit of extra with the bonus bucks and without having any fees. So you give and your nonprofit receives a lot on one day. You know, Tom, our logo is the acorn, and we revamped it a few years ago, but it really symbolizes a lot in the sense that if you plant a seed today, an acorn, it grows into a mighty oak 100 years from now. Same with the Erie Community Foundation being 90 years old. Seeds were planted back in 1935. They never knew about computers and laptops and air conditioning units, and that's what some of our nonprofits need today. They need their computers revamped, or a new roof, wheelchair ramps. So that is the other beauty of Erie Gives. It's unrestricted giving. So you give to your nonprofit and they use it to meet the greatest need that they have at the moment.
And the extra benefit is the Erie Community Foundation, through all its energy and its ability to, put in one pot all this money,
Right.
your outreach for investment is much stronger. You're able to do things that a nonprofit, say, with $10,000 may not be able to do, but the Erie Community Foundation, in its size, strength, and age, is able to do things that a small nonprofit or even a large one cannot do on its own.
That's the neatest thing. Like, even when I was at the Philharmonic, we would sort of have a two-tiered approach. We would let the foundation do the big heavy lifting about Erie Gives Day specifically,
Right.
and the Philharmonic would simply focus on doing what we did best, whether it was concerts in the park, educational events. We would just keep telling our story, and then the foundation has such a big megaphone, they were able to tell everybody about Erie Gives Day. And then the two of those things would always coalesce on the day itself, where people knew Erie Gives Day was coming up, but we always encourage the nonprofits to kind of think the same way. Keep telling your story and doing the good work, and then remind people about Erie Gives Day, and then let the foundation, with our biggest megaphone in the region, tell everybody about Erie Gives Day as well. And then those two things come together.
And you have philanthropic-minded people who create donor-advised funds, and I know QLN's benefited from it, so has the Phil. So there's many ways to be generous, so to speak.
No, I'm saying I agree. There's many ways, whether it's Erie Gives Day, and what we find is a lot of people will use the Erie Gives Day as the on-ramp to first learn about the foundation in general, and then we build up their knowledge and give them more opportunities to learn. Like, if you really like you're supporting your nonprofit on Erie Gives Day, here are 5 more ways you can support your nonprofit throughout the year. So we really take that on-ramp approach as well.
I want to say special thanks to Erin Fessler, Vice President of Marketing Community, and Steve Weiser, VP of Philanthropy at the Erie Community Foundation, for doing a wonderful job today explaining all about Erie Gives Day.
Thank you for having us. It's delightful to talk to you, Tom.
Definitely. Thanks, Tom.